Everyone, happy Thursday. It is May the 4th. So if you're one of those Star Wars nerds, then this is your Super Bowl. You wait all year for this day, I think, so you can go around saying May the 4th, which sounds like May the Force, I guess, if you have a lisp. So that's the life of a Star Wars nerd, I guess. You get all amped up for that opportunity. Okay, I'm adding Doug into the Instagram here, and that was getting a kick out of my little intro today. All right, why is he not coming? Okay, there he is.
Hey, Matt,
How's
took
it
you
going?
all it took you all of 3 seconds today to insult half of our audience. I like it.
You think half of our audience is Star Wars nerds?
I don't know. I mean, half of our team is apparently, because we were somebody was working on a reel and about May the 4th reel, and everyone chimed in with a bunch of insider stuff that I didn't understand. So
Yeah. Well, look, that's why you and I get to do this show, get to be in front of audiences. We get to present because we're cool guys. We're not like
we're the cool kids. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, right, exactly.
Mhm.
So anyway, I hope you're enjoying your May the 4th, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
I forget, Doug, you have seen a Star Wars movie, though, right?
Oh, I've seen. I think I've seen all of the movies. I think.
Okay.
I've not seen any of the. No, you know what? I have not seen the latest one, the newest one. It was. I don't even know when it was, but or any of the new ones. I don't know what I'm talking about. I saw
I
the
don't even know how
original.
many there are. I always thought there were 3, and then there were three. Okay. Well, what I always thought was that there's 3 Star Wars from the 80s or whatever, and then they made 3 new ones, Episode 1, and all that. Right? Episode 1, 2, and 3, I guess. And then it went off the rails for me. Whatever they did after that, I have no idea what it is. Okay, so we've lost Doug on Instagram. Now he's back.
So I missed part of what you said there, but I saw the original 6 right there, like 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Okay.
And now there's like the new ones, the next 3. I have not seen any of those, and I've not seen any of the shows. There's all the like Delirium. No, that's not right. That's a beer, right? Delirium. Mandalorian. Yeah, Mandalorian. There's like a series about it. I haven't seen any of that.
Speaking of the DeLorean, there's a Back to the Future Broadway show that I saw is coming to Charlotte. I think it's been everywhere else too. That I'd be into. It's coming in July.
Oh man, I don't know if we're the cool kids, Matt. I don't know that we are.
Yeah, I don't either. All right. So anyway, that's enough of that Star Wars talk. What else, Doug? It's Thursday. It's my good favorite day of the week. It's got to be one of your favorite days in a long time because I think today is your first legal alcohol again.
It is legal. Yeah, today I'm having a drink today,
Yeah.
Matt, and I am pumped.
And so you did not have one on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday when you technically could have because your challenge was over, but you have this new policy of Thursday through Sunday.
That's right. And I stuck to it, and so tonight will be my first drink. May even have 2. I don't know. It's gonna get a little crazy, but I'm excited about it. I think.
I bet you have 3 drinks tonight. Is my guess. I'm gonna check in
3?
tomorrow.
Guaranteed
you have 3 drinks.
It's very possible. It is quite possible.
Might go over 3.
I don't know. Over 3 on a Thursday night. I got to work tomorrow. I don't know.
Oh, we'll check in tomorrow, so you can.
We'll find out.
Every sip, you can remember that we will ask about it tomorrow.
You know what I am going to do tonight, inspired by our discussions this week.
What
is I'm going to do a VO2 Max workout.
Ah, nice. Very good. I was actually going to go for a Zone 2 run today and take a little day off of the weight training and do that. Yeah. So look at us. We're making positive changes. Yeah. Good. Okay. All right. Well, that all sounds great. I don't think I have really too much else going on. Anything else, Doug, that we should touch on before we just kind of jump into our show? I feel like this is way early. People are Aisha has chimed in and says I was on vacation, but I caught up on all the plant-based morning show episodes. I was wondering where Aisha was. I was actually starting to think maybe Aisha is tired of our little
I know. I was worried about that.
Yeah, but no, she's still here. So that's good. And all the regulars are here. I've probably been reading the names too often, so I'm not going to go through all the names right now. But hello to everyone.
Steven says, Matt, running again? So when was the last time you went for a run?
Oh, not that long.
A Zone 2 run, especially.
Pretty much all my runs have been Zone 2 in the past year. So I probably did one 3 weeks ago.
Okay. All right.
Not that long. I was doing them at a decent pace, but anyway, or at a decent rate.
Ryan
Yeah.
McGrath is out for one right now.
Wow, look at that. Way to go.
You know what I've been surprisingly into is the Kocodonia 250 mile race in the deserts of Arizona going on right now.
Okay.
And I really didn't know much about it, but they're doing some incredible live coverage, and somehow I've gotten very invested in it. And then there's also a guy who I'm gonna look up his name real quick. He's a vegan runner who I follow on Instagram, and he's running it.
Okay.
And so I have just been like, and he's like posting a ton of stories, way too many stories to be doing mid 250 race. But it's really like, it's entertaining. It's good. It's fun to follow along.
Good for
I'm going to
him.
look up his name.
He's a vegan runner, you said?
Yeah, he's a vegan athlete.
Okay.
Andrew, hold on, I just lost it. Andrew Glaze. His Instagram handle is AM Glaze.
Okay. Good. Very nice.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like wild watching people go into like day 3 of a race where they've just nonstop race. You know, they're stopping for 3-hour naps here and there and that kind of thing. But just quite the adventure.
Wow, that's crazy. So it's just straight up 250 miles. First one to finish wins. It's not like stages or something like that.
Yeah, just straight up. To some people have already finished.
Wow. And then what was like? How long does it take someone to finish that as a winner?
I think some people finished last night, which would be just under 72 hours, just under 3 days.
Okay, so that's about. 100. Someone can do that in what, like 12 hours or something?
Yeah, the world records are sub 12, like 11 something.
So this is 2.5 times as long and about 6 times as much time.
But those world records are on like flat tracks and stuff like this.
Okay.
This is like mountain running. And
okay. So maybe it's 4 to 5 times as much time as it should take, or not should, but would take to do 100. So I guess, it kind of makes sense. It'd be a significant drop off in the pace. That's incredible though. 250 miles. It's just like, 100 miles is bizarre distance to run. So 250 is just crazy.
When that guy I follow, Andrew, hit the 150 mark, and he was like talking about, I was like, oh man, he's like, he's killing it. He's almost there. And I was like, no, this has 100 miles to run. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Would you ever do anything like that, or is that just beyond for you what Steven?
I gotta say, it's like watching it, like is lighting this little thing in me that is very intriguing. If I was gonna do something like that, I would want to dedicate 8 months to really hard, proper training. And that seems like a pretty big commitment, but
only 8 months? It wouldn't be like a 3-year thing. I guess if you're already in 100-miler shape.
Yeah, right. I would want to run a 100-miler and then like take a little break and then do just a long series. I'd probably do a 100-miler as training and, some stuff like that. I don't know. I just, it like something kind of absolutely disgustingly brutal and like long like that, where it just sounds kind of attractive for some reason. Just watching like these reels again, he's posting way too many reels for somebody who's running a race, but I really like it. I caught myself there. Did you say it? Did you catch it?
No, what? Were you saying I'm here for it?
I almost said I'm here for it.
Oh, okay. Well, you said I'm here for it. I didn't mean to make you stop saying it. I was just pointing out that you said it a lot.
But like just watching like him like kind of suffering, it just makes me want to suffer too. I don't know why.
I know what you mean. You get that when you watch those documentaries and stuff too. It's something about it is attractive. I think it has to do with the fact that everything else is put on hold. All that matters is you and your suffering and the moving forward. And that's what people look for in their escapes and things. And that's, I don't know, at least it was sort of a productive one. Although at some point you got to argue that it's a big time net loser for your health, right? To do that. It's just, it's just, but not that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you do it, Doug. I hope you do something like that. It'd be good for our show, if nothing else.
We'd have to have a sub in, or unless I'm trying to go live from.
No, you probably wouldn't do that.
The
yeah, you'd have to have a few days off. That's what it takes to get a few days off, though. You might be worth it.
There you go. There you go.
Good. Okay, cool. Well, good luck to the vegan guy. That's awesome. And Andrew Glaze. is that what you said?
Andrew Glaze, AM Glaze on Instagram. Check him out.
Yeah,
He
cool.
runs, I mean, like so much, 100-mile weeks all the time. I mean, he just runs so much, but it's cool. It's fun to follow along.
Yeah, definitely. Very good. Steven says neither of us ever thought we'd run a 100-miler. That's true. The first appeal of it to me was that I thought it was an accident when someone told me that there was a 100-mile race. I thought it was a typo or something when I read it. I forget what the situation was, but I remember saying that's not real. And then I looked into it and it was, and I was like, I could never do that. But then that little seed is what makes it exciting. So that's what it was. And then Drew Design says I barely have the patience to drive 250 miles, and that's a really good point. I mean, that's a long way. It's a long drive.
That is a long drive. Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Good. Well, that all sounds great. And yeah, looking forward to hearing how many beers you drink tonight, Doug. Actually, I'm impressed you made it. I would have 100% had a beer on Monday, first day that challenge ended for me. So you instituted a new policy and you stuck right into it without even a little gap drink to say this is the start of a new tradition or something.
I know.
So good for you.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
Yesterday afternoon, I was quite stressed yesterday, and yesterday afternoon I was like, I'm gonna have a drink tonight, and then I got home, started playing with the girls, kind of forgot about it, and then when I sat down and I would have gotten one, I was like, yeah, I don't need it anymore. I'm good.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
good.
That's the point. That's the lesson, right?
Yeah. For my part, I'm having. Well, I've had a couple glasses of wine this week, not as many as I usually would. But then most nights still, I'm just having a non-alcoholic beer when I get home. Like last night, got home late from soccer. I think typically I would have had a glass of wine or something, but I just poured a non-alcoholic Heineken, drank that, enjoyed it, went to bed. So it has left a positive impact on me. I just hope it lasts. Who knows?
Yeah.
And again, not to take credit, mine was not. I didn't do the full 21 days. I took the weekends off. Just did what I wanted.
You did your own edited version of the 21 days.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not acting like that was a big accomplishment, but for me, it was. It has changed my habits a little bit, so that's a good thing.
That's good.
Okay, we ready to jump into this weather report, Doug?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. In some soccer news, Lionel Messi, who famously, at least in our circles, is known to be plant-based during the soccer season. It was never really confirmed that, but I've heard it in a few different spots. Largely regarded, I'd say, as the best soccer player ever. And I want to say certainly currently, but you can't because there's Ronaldo, who is the other best soccer player ever. So who really knows? But he's going to leave his current club, Paris Saint-Germain, this summer at the end of his contract. He, of course, won the World Cup with Argentina this summer. And now he's probably going to Saudi Arabia. That's what it looks like. That's where Ronaldo went as well. So Saudi Arabia starting to become the soccer powerhouse league. Maybe not. They're not really.
Messi's going to Saudi Arabia too?
Well, it's not. That's not at all confirmed. Apparently, he was suspended for an unsanctioned trip there earlier, and the rumor is that he's courting a $440 million deal to go play there. I don't know if it will be on
Ronaldo's just like buying everything. Everyone.
Who? The soccer clubs or just the country?
Well, the golf, right? They're like the live golf thing. Yeah, and they kind of stole a bunch of PGA players, PGA players.
And oil money.
And who's the other big soccer player?
Cristiano Ronaldo went.
Yeah. He's there, right?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if Messi. I haven't followed it closely. I don't know if it's the same team that's trying to get him. I can't imagine it'd be the same team. That'd just be crazy. But I'm also surprised that more than one team would have enough money to do that. But who knows? So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. I was kind of hoping he'd come to the U.S. for the his swan song, but I don't know.
Charlotte FC. I'm sure they can afford that type of contract.
I mean, MLS kind of they do that now and then, right? Like, and Tepper, the owner, has money. He owns the Panthers as well, NFL team. So it could happen. And that's kind of been the NFL model, is bring in someone on the downside of their career from Europe who was a great player, just to put some butts in seats. But I think they're kind of getting. I think the MLS is trying to become a more legitimate league that doesn't just do that. Anyway, moving on from that. Meatless Farm They are maybe bigger in the UK than here, but we've seen them here, and they're in other countries in Europe as well. They've got a bunch of new plant-based, meat-filled pastas, which I, as a pasta fiend, am particularly excited about, despite the fact that they have this fake meat in them, which I'm increasingly less interested in. But they've got two varieties of the pasta coming available: beef, red wine, and porcini, mushroom girasole, and no duja ravioli, which I think is a play on induja, that meat thing that they have in Italy. Anyway, they're both high protein and low in sugar. It can be prepared in 4 to 5 minutes. The low in sugar thing maybe sounds like I don't know, like why include that when we're talking about pasta? This seems like a weird thing, but I think a lot of these plant foods are being criticized now for the things that are added into them, like sugar. Maybe not the meat so much, but I just think it's becoming a kind of a talking point is the sugar content. They're also doing two other ones, Doug. These would be more up your alley. The New York style cheeseburger, CHEEZE, and then chorizo style sausages flavored with paprika for a Spanish style taste. It's not a Mexican chorizo. It would be Spanish. That is what I'm particularly excited about. Would love to get my hands on that and try it. Doug, you could make that at home with the paprika that I sent you, perhaps.
I could. Oh, that's an early days throwback.
Yeah, right. That's right. We talked about paprika. I couldn't believe you never cooked with it. I can't believe how little I understood about your cooking that. Now I wouldn't be at all surprised. Of course, Doug just makes Mexican food. He doesn't need paprika. He's got his whatever, chili powder and taco seasoning and whatever else you might use. Chipotle powder. He doesn't need a Spanish ingredient. But then I just didn't know Doug that well. Didn't know your cooking style or anything. So anyway, that's that. Olive Garden, where I went, got a vegan meal the other night. Their owner, Darden, is adding Ruth's Chris Steakhouse to their dining empire. Why is that significant to us vegans? Probably isn't at all, but maybe they'll take a page out of Olive Garden's book and have a nice handful of vegan options. I think they already have a baked potato. I've heard people say that they've gone there and gotten a potato and salad, and it's actually been pretty good. The Alzheimer's treatment, donanemab, has made big news. Even got a text from my mom yesterday, made by Eli Lilly, has shown significantly slowed progression of Alzheimer's. People who received the monthly antibody infusion during an 18-month study demonstrated a 35% lower decline in memory and thinking and their ability to perform daily activities than those who did not. So that's a pretty big deal. Alzheimer's being one of the big four killers, or at least robbers of health span. And one that I'm particularly susceptible to, Doug. Little known fun fact about me: I have a single copy of the E4 variant of the APOE gene, which means I have about a 20 to 23% chance of developing Alzheimer's by the time I am 85. So that's not good. So happy to hear this kind of positive, progress.
Yeah. How did you find that out? Did
23andMe.
23andMe?
Yep. And then I read about it in Peter Attia's book, and then I looked up more closely and came to understand it.
Wow. And
finally, there's it seems like a conspiracy almost, Doug. It's a lot of stuff happening. It's against us. The UN Agriculture Organization has put out a study looking at 500 papers to analyze the benefits and risks of animal source foods, particularly terrestrial animal source foods. I don't really understand why they didn't get into fish or any type of seafood. Largely positive results as far as eating of animal products goes. They said animal products provide a lot of nutrients that aren't in plant-based products, make it easier to get lots of essential nutrients. Dairy particularly seems to be linked to improved health outcomes across all different phases of life, not just children. Meat, they point out, up to a certain point seems to be beneficial, eventually neutral. And then once you go beyond whatever the World Health Organization point is that they suggest, which I think it's 72 grams of beef, then they say it gets to be unsafe. And almost any amount of processed beef, they still say is not safe, or even processed deli meats, any of the processed stuff, not just beef. They still say that is unsafe. So this isn't like an extreme, like all the way to one side or all the way to the other side. They just sort of say plant-based diets are not that easy to get these nutrients on. So you really need to put effort forth if you're going to avoid all of these, supposedly healthy animal products. So interesting. I was going to ask you particularly, I guess that can be the end of our weather report, because this next discussion gets a little bit longer here. like the context here. Is the UN, like, when I see UN puts out a report, should I be saying right away, oh, this is going to be biased for some reason? Like, this is going to be woke, or this is going to be the opposite of woke? Like, I don't know. Do you know these things as a politician?
Yeah.
What should I be
We
able to
deal
look
with
out for here?
in my local town politics. We deal with the UN a lot. We actually have a UN ambassador. I've been nominated to be the UN ambassador for the town of Black Mountain. So, no, not at all. I mean, the UN is a very trusted source around the world. I mean, right? I mean, like the UN is
By
very
everyone or
important.
by you and your political party?
I mean, well, I mean, I would say
Like, if
that
I go to my dad, is he gonna say you can't
historically,
trust the UN?
historically, the United States has been very supportive of the UN. I think that the last 4 years, things have changed a little bit, or not the last 4 years, but the prior 4 years before the current administration, things changed a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
But historically, both parties have been pretty on board with the UN.
Okay.
And I mean, look, I mean, the UN is responsible for a lot of really good and important things around the world, and keeping people safe, keeping stability within the within the world, and also like leaders on certain climate issues, certain pandemic type issues, health and safety issues. So I mean, look, I'm a little disappointed to see this. I'm sure that money and politics are at play here, and there's certain countries. Obviously, certain countries have a lot of sway over the UN, and reports like this. And I think you have to assume that there's some bias here that's going into a report like this, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know. It's disappointing to hear it, because the UN climate reports and stuff like that have historically been pretty good for the plant-based diet, and pretty aggressive.
Right. So and I sort of thought that, and that's why I wondered, like, does this mean we should just, like, if we accepted those reports on climate change, right? I mean, we, just speaking, I'm not really of any political leaning. I just try to stay as out of it and neutral as possible. But like, if you say they had pretty good climate stuff, then does that mean that when this comes along, you kind of have to say, yep, well, I believe them for that. I didn't call any bias or anything there. So I'm also going to say this must also be sort of trustworthy because I trust the source. Is that valid?
Yeah, I mean, it does, right? I mean, like, I think a UN report holds weight around the world, and helps dictate certain policy, and certainly global agreements in global policy. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's disappointing to see this, to both see the positive. What's striking to me in this report is not just that it's calling out, some hard to get nutrients, and that, I mean, similar to our conversation the other day about how, certain countries couldn't, and globally, like, we couldn't just all go vegan at the same time, right? That you need to be careful and be mindful of certain nutrients that are hard to get through a plant-based diet, that maybe we don't have as much trouble having access to, but other people might. And so, like, that type of report would be perfectly in line with what I would expect from the UN. What I think is a little disappointing is the positive reinforcement of some of the meat and dairy industry.
Of the industry, or of their foods, and
the foods. Sorry, the foods. Yeah, the foods.
So why is that disappointing to you? I mean, it's disappointing because we like the idea of eating a plant-based diet.
Because we like the idea.
But like, do you have any reason to doubt that it's like, is it disappointing because you think it's not truthful? Like, because it must be influenced by industry or something? Or just disappointing because we were hoping for a better result?
Disappointing because I love it when information comes out that backs up my stance. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, that's fine. Not so much backs up my stance, but supports a diet that I already wish a lot of people ate.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's good. I feel the same way. It sure would be nice if we got a more clear outcome here, that it turns out that the foods that are the nicest to animals, which is my most important factor here, are also the healthiest. And in many ways, they're not saying they're not. They're not saying plant-based foods aren't healthy, except for the plant-based meats. They do get into these high-tech foods and say they're, like I said, added sugars, added things that make them potentially not good foods. But the main thing here about plant-based diets is not that a plant-based diet is unhealthy. It's that you got to put in a lot of effort to get some nutrients that, in their estimation, are missing from a fully plant diet. So basically, take supplements, go to lovecompliment.com,
Mm-hmm.
go get some of the best plant-based supplements you can, and you'll be eating right in line with this report without eating any animals.
Yeah, I actually, that was my first thought when I read the report. I was like, basically, it's just telling vegans they need complement.
That's right. And that's what it is. And that's of course a joke, but like it is sort of saying if you're going to eat a vegan diet, you should supplement. And I think that message is becoming more and more agreed upon by a lot of vegans. Certainly there are some who will insist that you don't need supplements and you can get everything you need just from the plants, maybe minus B12. But I don't know. I mean, this isn't. I'm surprised that the dairy is not seen in the studies they look at as more dangerous. I would have thought that would be something that for adults, just because it doesn't seem to fit the story. Like, why does an adult need to be taking in milk after childhood? And nonetheless, up for another species, it's meant to grow animals much bigger than humans are. So yeah, I would think based on that, sort of. I understand there's the naturalist fallacy, and just because it's natural doesn't mean it's healthy. But I would expect then we'd see negative health outcomes, but apparently not. So interesting there.
Cycle Michael on Instagram says the UN found beef as a carcinogen, probably in another report. But
the UN is not the World Health Organization, right?
Right.
They're different bodies.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. So Cycle Michael may be thinking of that, or there may be a UN report that says that. Again, this UN report does not disagree with that part. They say that beef is okay up to this 70 grams per day number, but beyond that, and they list that if you go to the study itself, trying to figure out, let me find I've got it up. I spent about an hour with it today, reading a bunch of stuff. And suddenly now I can't find it, unfortunately. But anyway, what it says is that, here it is. Sorry. If you go to, it's FAO.org. And I would imagine right on the homepage would be a link to the study. They say that the meat is in processed meat in any amount, or just about any amount, maybe over like 2 grams per day, not healthy. And meat in general, once you get over that 70 grams per day, there are certainly health drawbacks that happen. At the end of the report itself, again, go to FAO.org or just look up FAO UN, terrestrial animal food report. At the end, there's like I think it's an appendix C, where they sort of list a table of all the different foods, all the different kind of tests and sort of hypotheses they examined and what they found. And it's very concise, so it doesn't have a whole lot of backing, but it summarizes very nicely what they found. And they also found that eggs were pretty much across the board healthy. So interesting. I really wonder, just if the story is shifting a little bit. I know just recently there's been this stuff, so it's easy to think that suddenly change is happening just because there's been a couple stories in the past week about this. But I don't know. As I read Atiya's book recently, I'm just sort of getting this story more and more. And in my mind, the conclusion is, as long as you don't eat a crazy extreme diet, and you eat whole foods, your diet's can be pretty healthy. It's don't go super extreme in any direction. If you're going to go 100% vegan, which I guess you could say is kind of extreme, then you got to take some measures to make sure you are getting things that aren't in there. And if you don't eat tons and tons of meat, or tons and tons of dairy, and I don't know about the dairy, but if you don't eat tons of stuff, it's probably all fine. I think the really important thing is eat whole foods, and that's right. That's what's common to all these things. And then you got to wonder about the plant-based meats, right? Because those are the big offender now for most of us. The food in our diet that's not whole anymore is those. So who knows? Certainly we'll be seeing more data on those in the future.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday's report labeled the vegan diet as extreme, right? That's why I got downgraded from the Mediterranean diet or the DASH diet.
Yeah, hard to comply with. Yep, because it's not always available.
But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Whole Foods, is whole food plant-based or whole food mostly plant-based better than just whole food in general? I'm not sure. But certainly Whole Foods plus social tater tots are probably the healthiest option you can do.
Definitely. Speaking of yesterday's study, which was the American Heart Association and their Veg News, their treatment of it was basically keto. It falls in last, and plant-based scores pretty well. And
keto would be whole food for the most part, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure about keto and their fat and where you're supposed to get the fats from. I'm actually not positive about that. But they don't want you eating junk food. I know that. I mean,
Yeah.
none of that's allowed. So
it's no sugar and stuff, I think. So like you would, I mean,
right.
basically,
But it's extreme. But I would call that extreme.
oh yeah,
like
for sure. But I'm saying, like whole food doesn't necessarily mean super healthy, right?
Right. No, I think whole food, well-rounded,
Well-rounded,
like sort of average across the board, balanced, whatever. And if you're going to not have that bit of balance, like admittedly, we do not as vegans, right? If I'm talking about all the spectrum of whole foods that are out there and eating sort of a little bit of the diet we've eaten for years and years and years and hundreds, thousands of years, we don't eat that. So we need to take some supplements to make sure that we get some of the things that we'd get if we ate a little bit of those other foods. And I think the same goes if you're going to do an extreme in a different direction. You got to make some adjustments or something so that you don't put yourself at too much risk.
Yeah.
But anyway, that study from yesterday.
Oh, go ahead.
Really quickly.
Yep.
So Veg News treated it as keto is bad, plant-based is good. I saw Daily Mail's version of it today. It said leading cardiologists rank the 10 most popular diets in terms of heart health. Look away now, vegans. And it was, and the first line, diets that include healthy servings of meat are better for a person's heart than going vegan, a leading panel of cardiologists say. So that was that was the takeaway from the story, in which vegan scored in the second tier out of 4. And they even show a chart that has exactly that and has vegan in tier 2. And then they show all the other tiers. They show paleo and keto at the bottom. But the story was that the Mediterranean, these flexitarian, pescatarian, that include some meat on top of the vegetables, that they beat the vegan. And it's fine. And I'm not denying that might be true. It's just so funny that's
the spin. Yeah.
I hate these diet wars. I just can't stand it.
Just to kind of wrap up the UN thing, Mr. Jeffrey says, this is a good reminder, have to remember that the UN is composed of 156 countries. I actually think it's close to like 190 member states. So even more. And only a handful of them are in a place economically and systemically where people can be healthy on a plant-based diet. And I mean, you remember when we talked about Jenna Ortega and her like ditching the vegan diet when she was, I forget, Romania or somewhere?
For Wednesday, filming of Wednesday, the Addams Family movie. Yep.
And how, and that kind of sparked this discussion about like how exactly this, that in certain places it's just much harder to eat a healthy plant-based diet, well-rounded plant-based diet. And of course, like she of course could afford supplements and probably importing all of her food and whatever, if she needed to. But I don't know. Like I feel like we've just had over the last several months, we've just had several different reminders of how we can strive for this global plant-based world that ends animal cruelty and helps the environment and helps global health and all this stuff. But it's just not a reality right now for so many people.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of these reports are getting at. And the thing with the 1,000 doctors who signed some petition, right? They're saying these animal products are still an important source of calories and nutrients for a lot of people. And what we haven't seen yet, or maybe we have, but just not in the recent news, is like an analysis of the people who eat for a long time a plant-based diet with a handful of supplements, the ones that we think you need.
Yeah.
And it can't be long, right? Because I'd love to know how that fares compared to a diet, like a whole foods diet that includes some meat, basically as an alternative to the supplements. Instead of taking omega-3s, eating some fish. Instead of maybe taking some protein powder as you get older, getting that from some other meat source or eggs or whatever. I'd really like to see that kind of comparison done. I don't think you need 25 years to do it. I think in 5-10 year period, maybe less, you could draw some conclusions. So I'd love to see how that does, because all these other things seem to be accounting for the fact that for a lot of people, the supplementation isn't really an option for distribution reasons or money reasons or whatever. So I don't know. It remains to be seen, but I still want to see that.
I'd
one more thing here
to be part of that study if anybody needs.
You would like to be?
I'd be happy to be a part of that.
What if you had to give up corn chips for it though?
Oh no, never mind.
I
mean, if I have to give up corn chips, I mean, like off the table.
Psycho Michael, who is an often watcher and frequent commenter, so I do not like disagreeing with Psycho Michael, but I have to a little bit here push back. I think it's he says eggs healthy. About 60% of the calories in eggs are from fat, much of which is saturated fat. Eggs are also loaded with cholesterol, about 200 milligrams for an average size egg. That from 2023 Physicians Committee. two responses for that. One is here you're looking at the mechanisms and sort of the story that these things are unhealthy. I think this type of analysis that the UN did here is more looking at health outcomes, which to me is what's actually matters, not because by that logic, we could say, well, beans are unhealthy because they contain anti-nutrients and they contain phytates, like therefore we shouldn't have them. But if you zoom out, you look at the health outcomes, it turns out people who eat beans are way healthier, right? And so I'm saying just because eggs have a bunch of fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, which may not have any impact at all on cholesterol in the body, dietary cholesterol, that's not enough for me to say that's unhealthy food because it contains this amount of fat. I need to see that people who eat eggs end up unhealthy, and that is not at least what this study is showing. The other thing is the argument that eggs contain a bunch of fat calories. That could be the very reason why they are saying for a lot of people it makes them healthier, because we're talking about people who maybe don't have a bunch of calories coming from other places and eat a ton of whole grains and things like that. But those in that population who also eat some eggs and get a bunch of fat, they tend to do better perhaps. So that's, I'm not saying Psycho Michael's wrong here, but that would be my, I guess, sort of devil's advocate point of view. And I'm not arguing for eggs, right? I hope eggs are unhealthy because I'd like everybody to be vegan. But we gotta look at the data. Okay. Good. Enough of that seriousness, I think, Doug, right?
Yeah, let's get loopy. Let's get crazy.
Okay. All right, I don't think we have time to get into tofu hacks today.
Oh, yeah, the tofu hacks is a good one. Let's do that tomorrow.
I'm a little bit excited about that one. Yeah, if I can manage to get tofu skins, which I still don't ever see anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't look in the right places, but
according to the article, they're readily available.
Yeah, I know. I think I don't look in the right places. I think the problem is that when I go into an Indian grocer or an Asian grocer, I don't think to go look in the frozen section for the tofu skins, right? I'm interested in the spices and the produce and all this other stuff. And so maybe I need to spend more time there.
Maybe I need to edit yesterday's article on Plant-Based News and add tofu skins to the Asian market section.
Yeah, you should. And plus, the skins, it probably has all the nutrients from the tofu are probably all in the skin.
Would that be right?
Right? You know how the apples?
It's always the skin, that's a joke, right?
It's a joke. Okay. That is a joke. Just like when people eat toast and they cut the crust off and you say, the crust has all the nutrients in it.
Yeah, right. Oh, man.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's do Best Life Online. They got a fun one here. 5 easy health hacks that actually work according to experts. To make sure that we know that it is according to experts. It's not just made up by somebody. So I actually kind of like these tips. These are not bad hacks, even though the source is a little suspect to me. But let's see. Let's just get into these hacks specifically. Number 1, breathe through your nose to sleep better. I think people know this about breathing, right? Do people know that your nose is generally the better means of drawing in a breath?
Right, for filtration. I mean, I don't know why else.
I don't know why. It's the natural thing. The argument is if you look at how a baby sleeps, they just breathe through their nose, their belly goes up and down, not their chest, and therefore it's good, right? So that's not really science at all. It's one of these stories again that I'm saying we need actual data. So I don't really know if it's better, but that's the story. Is that for some reason it doesn't trigger the flight or fight thing, and I do kind of get this, right? Like when you're in fight or flight, your mouth opens, and when you go above your lactate threshold and running, your mouth opens to start breathing more air. Just happens naturally. You don't have to think about it. So I could see the trigger going the other way, where if you start breathing through your mouth, you will more quickly move into that mode, or at least be closer to that mode. And so if you can breathe through your nose, I think your whole body tends to relax more.
Yeah.
And they kind of say that breathing through your nose generates nitric oxide in your body, which I guess would be the filtration sort of thing. That helps to relax your lungs, heart, and muscles. So I think it just feels like a relaxing way to breathe when you're doing it. I always have trouble with it because my nose is just always just a little bit too stuffed up to breathe well through it.
Do you ever do any alternate nostril breathing?
I can't, because usually one of them is stuffed. Like I feel like if I'm nose breathing, it's through one.
Because all those eggs you're eating.
Yeah, all those eggs.
That's too bad. I really like alternate nostril breathing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Like while you're trying to go to sleep or while you're doing meditation?
No, just some sort of, as a meditation tool.
You actually close one, or you just sort of consciously...
Yeah, no, use your finger
Oh,
Switch
okay.
back and forth.
Yeah, I've experimented with the Breathe Right strips. They definitely help me. Then I start to worry, like, maybe my nose is supposed to be sort of stuffed. Maybe I'm supposed to filter things out through it. And if I open it up too much all night long, what am I inhaling? What bugs are going in there? Like actual bugs? Who knows? But anyway, I've also fooled around with the tape your mouth shut tool, as we know.
Was it you? Hold on. Before we go to the tape your mouth, which I definitely want to talk about, it's possible that you shared this with me, but I don't think so. An Onion headline the other day about the joke was something like, it turns out it's true that we really do all eat 3 or average out to 3 spiders a year while we're sleeping. But it's actually just one guy who just loves spiders, and he's just he's just eating spiders all day long.
I did not. That was not me.
Okay,
but that's pretty funny.
that was funny.
That's a good point. You got to watch out with averages. Averages are not always the truth.
Yeah. All right. So tape. So mouth tape. This is a thing that I don't know if it just like is this like somehow has gotten onto my algorithm, but I'm getting ads for it all the time.
It's a little bit of a trend. I think it's happening. People are just talking about it. I've done it a little bit. I've still probably got 16 of the 20 to use because I just stopped because it was just too not really comfortable. I don't know. It was weird. Every night I would somehow in my sleep pull it off at like midnight.
In a panic.
So yeah, just woke up and like get this thing off me and just go back to sleep. But no, I think it's good. I've done some running with nose breathing, and I think it's a great thing. When I was doing that, like that actually got sort of spilled over into the rest of my day and my sleep, and I sort of became a nose breather, and I thought that was really great. I'd like to get back to that. So good. Another good thing about Zone 2 running, you can focus on that.
Yeah.
Kate points out that Patrick McKeown is the big nose breathing guy. I don't know how to say that name, but he definitely is one of the big nose breathing guys. So is Body, Mind, and Sport. John Douliard, I think, is the book. And then Doug, your Bud Coates guy. Remember the Bud Coates obsession you used to have? Running on air, I think. I think he probably talked about nose breathing in that book. So anyway, it's a thing. If you can do it, train yourself to do it. I think it will tend to at least relax you in all phases of your life that you can do it. And that's a good thing. All right. That is that one. My best life online is reloading here. Number 2.
Write by hand to boost your brain power.
Seems like a major Doug move.
Oh, this is far from it, my friend.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have terrible handwriting, and therefore I hate to write. And also, I'm a god-awful speller, like really bad speller. And so I'm heavily reliant.
You're pretty good talker too, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, heavily reliant on spell check. So,
right. Okay. Well, I actually do like this. I don't really do it very much anymore, but it feels good to write stuff with a pen and paper. Whatever it is you're writing. Mostly it's sort of a brainstorming thing. It's just computers still aren't really there. I know tablets can do it pretty well, but I like writing on paper. It feels good. And I used to do that old morning pages where you handwrite 3 pages every morning. And I've gotten a lot of benefit from that. I don't currently do it. It's been probably a year since I have gone through a little spurt of it. But I always like that. Look it up. Julia Cameron, Morning Pages from the Artist's Way. And so it does all this good stuff. It says writing by hand activates neural pathways in the brain that help us learn and remember more clearly. A lot of senses are activated. Seeing the letters you write, hearing the sound you make, feeling it on the paper, right? So, and that kind of makes adding richness to I think like we've sort of been robbed of richness and everything is smooth and easy, right? And like it's like a Kindle, for example, a Kindle Paperwhite, for example, one of my favorite reading tool in the world, right here. I recently have really found myself enjoying reading books again, regular books. It's not that practical. Can't do it in bed very easily without a book light. But I have heard and I believe there's just something about holding something that's heavy, turning the pages, feeling the paper. It just right. Senses are supposed to be activated. That's kind of why we have them. Same as like staring off at a woods, for example, compared to a smooth, paved surface. It's good for us. Much as I hate to admit that part of it. It is. Doug, you object to this?
No, I don't. I have no objection. I agree. I think, touching things in the real world, being out in nature, experiencing things with your senses, like you said.
Talking to people face to face instead of
talking to people face
texting.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's something very different talking to people face to face than watching them through a screen. So,
No, but I even mean on the screen. But you're right, face to face in person, way better. But talking face to face on a screen versus no video, talking on the phone versus texting, so you don't even have that sense, the sound activated. Now it's just seeing characters. I've seen that linked to happiness and fulfillment, the actual conversation, because apparently it's an incredibly like cognitively complex task to interpret facial expressions that are sort of in response to things you're saying, and then adjust your thoughts and sayings based on that. Like, it just, we're kind of meant to do that stuff. And so much of our lives, that just being a metaphor for all the other stuff we kind of don't do anymore. So I'm not surprised at all that this one is positive in some way. All right, moving on. Swap out your cooking oil to reduce inflammation. They say vegetable oil is the biggest offender to gut inflammation. And they're saying oil is, I mean, inflammation is the problem here. That's what they're talking about. And most people seem to agree that inflammation, not a good thing. At least chronic inflammation, I should say. They say get rid of all highly inflammatory vegetable oils and trans fats like canola, corn, cottonseed, soybean, sunflower, safflower, grapeseed, and margarine. I think those are almost all seed oils. I don't know if the bean oil counts as a seed, but beans are sort of seeds. So I don't really know. But those are all seed oils. And I think you taught me that seed oils are not thought to be so good.
There's a war on seed oils right now, for sure.
There is. Replace them with more heat-stable saturated fats like ghee, lard, butter, or tallow. Wow, that's not...
I don't know about that.
I was expecting. No, me neither. But then for salad dressing and dipping, organic extra virgin olive or avocado oil. I don't know why you couldn't use the avocado oil for the high temperature cooking, because I think it's usually recommended for that. But I don't know.
Lard, butter, tallow? Come on.
I know. All right. Anyways, we don't like that one, but I do think some of those oils they said are not really good. So use olive oil. That's a good choice. Soak up the sun to increase immunity. You get vitamin D. That's good for you. That's kind of it. And then they don't no other really reason to do it. They neglect to mention that when you do this, you're also exposing yourself to UV rays that cause cancer. So there is that downside. Maybe better to get the vitamin D in supplement form. I don't know. Depends on your viewpoint. And then finally, number 5, try.
Hold on. Before, Andrew Huberman, his like morning routine includes, I think it's like 10-minute walk out, like as the sun's coming up every day.
A lot of people's that seems to be a trend thing too.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think it's good. It's sort of like we just said, right? Like doing things that like we're kind of supposed to do, right? Like be exposed to light and the sun. That's good. But I don't know. I just, like I said, evolution doesn't care about how long you live. It cares about you getting to reproductive age and a little bit past. So you can't give me the it's natural argument for sun exposure, because if it's natural, it's still going to make you die when you're 80 or 100 or whatever. You're not going to live a really long time. Now 100's pretty good. But I don't know. I don't think being in the sun is good because it's natural. It feels good. I like it. So I think a little bit's good. 10 minutes a day. No reason not to do that, I don't think. But also my main thing is like these longevity guys have a billion hacks now that you're supposed to do. And you can spend your whole life doing dumb hacks, like going outside in the grass, barefoot, stare at the sun, whatever. I don't know. Like, how about just like live a normal life?
This is a tangent. Are you okay with that? I know we're kind of pushing time a little bit.
We only got one more here, and then we'll wrap up.
I think you have heard of these because one of our teammates has done one. These like prolonged times, 3, 5, 7 days in a complete darkness chamber. And I think not a sensory deprivation chamber, but like just like a complete blacked out room. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I was going to say sensory deprivation. So you actually hear stuff still or something?
Yeah, I think you're just like living in a complete darkness.
In darkness.
And maybe silence too, like, other than yourself, but not a sensory deprivation where you're floating and that kind of thing.
Okay, right. Yes, I have heard of this sort of thing.
Would you ever do anything like that?
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to have an opt-out button that I can press and be rescued. Yeah, yeah, that would help me, I think, a little bit. But I think it would be certainly insightful, enlightening. See what happens.
It would be enlightening, that's for sure. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could
Really?
handle being, yeah, in
For,
darkness
just for a
for
few
that long.
days?
A few days? I mean, that is so long, man.
Yeah, it is a long
In
time.
complete darkness.
Right. That's why you need that panic button because it might go really bad.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I think I would go crazy.
Well, I'd
freak
love to
out.
try a silent retreat, one of these Vipassana
Ah,
things. I think that'd be a great experience. And you're not in the dark. You still can't talk. Why does the light make that big of a difference? I don't know. Just
I
because you
mean,
can
I'm
see
sure it's a
stuff?
deprivation thing, right? Like it's a sensory
Yeah,
thing.
you're right. You're right.
Um, I don't know. It would be a lot for me, but
Isn't that what
maybe.
solitary confinement is in prison? The hole? You go in the hole?
You're not in darkness. No, I
I
don't think.
think you are.
I don't think so. Definitely not. You're just in solitary. You're just by yourself. Solitude.
Okay. I don't know. I thought they were like in a little closet, door shut. I don't know.
I mean, that's like torture, man. Like,
I know it is.
I mean, all of it's torture, I guess. Solitary is torture, but
All right, last one. Try Qigong to ease anxiety. Next time you're feeling anxious, try shaking your arms and hands for 30 seconds. Is that Qigong? Is that all you have to
yeah,
do?
never heard of it.
This will discharge anxiety, stress, and negativity you picked up. Okay. That sounds a little bit pseudo-scientific to me, but I don't doubt that an ancient art could be good. I've done a few little Qigong classes on the vegan cruise in my day.
Hmm.
And they were nice in the way that like sitting through a little meditation class kind of thing is nice. Can't say that I noticed that much different than that. What's your stance on Qigong, Doug?
Well, I just shook it out for maybe 30 seconds. I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
We do a wiggle dance with my family when things are going sour. There's a video that we put on where it's like this do the wiggle dance video. I think it's actually called do the wiggle dance. And it will almost always turn some moods around. So,
Yeah.
you're shaking it out, kind of jumping around, getting the energy out.
Definitely.
know.
I mean, I agree with that for sure. But if you change your physiology, I really think you can change your mental state in a hurry.
Mhm.
So I don't disagree at all with that. I kind of want, and I'm not saying I disagree with Qigong. I just don't know this idea of like that you're going to clear certain energy out of certain organs by doing certain movements. I don't know. Honestly, if it's a placebo effect and it works for people, then I have no problem with that. If it is that, if you find the placebo effect that you like and go do it a lot, more power to you. It's good. You benefit from it. So no anti Qigong rhetoric from me.
Same. Although I really know nothing about it. So.
All right, good. Well, that is our show. A little different than I kind of thought it might be today, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
Me too. And tomorrow's Friday. Favorite show of the week.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, enjoy those beers tonight, Doug. However many you have, whether it's 3, 4, or 5, we'll find out tomorrow. And I hope it's enjoyable after 25 days off or something. You've earned it, I'd say.
All right. I'm sure I will.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming, and we will see you tomorrow.
All right. Goodbye.